Hello, YouTube. How are we doing today? I'm doing great. This is kind of a kind of an on the fly video, kind of a not on the fly video, and I'll explain that here in a second. I have a new beer to try for everyone. This is from Arche Brewing Company. It's called Twitchy. It is a Imperial Stout. So we'll get to that here in a second. Okay, so I wasn't originally planning on making a video today, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with this thing going around called the Pass the Brush Challenge. Me and a bunch of my friends decided we were going to do that, and this is one of my outfits for Pass the Brush. And so I decided, well, if I'm going to get all done up in the middle of the afternoon, then of course I have to give you guys a video. I look this fucking good. I look smoking hot right now. Of course I'm going to do a video. And here comes my damn cat. She hasn't been up on the table all day. Now that I'm recording, now she's going to start walking all over the damn table. All right. I'm in my art room again because this is kind of an impromptu video, as I mentioned. The topic for today, this is something that I already recorded, but the video I did was horrible, so I'm going to re-record it. This is 10 lesser-known habits of the narcissist. All right, the last video I did was terrible. I unlisted it. It was just awful. And I have my notes up on the screen. At times, I might give you guys like the weird possessed demon eyes because I'm trying to see my notes. Please do keep in mind that I am legally blind in both eyes. And it's been a while since I recorded that video, so I don't have it all memorized as well as I did. Get off the table. Get off the table. Say hi to Rasputin, everybody. Say bye to Rasputin, everybody. All right, so let's get to our Twitchy Stout here. I'm going to put a link in the description like I always do for you guys. So you can go and buy this if you want to try it for yourselves. I almost said if you like it. You can't taste it through me. I bet you wish you could, but... That's interesting. I'm not going to say I dislike it. I like it. I just don't really know how to describe the flavor. It's definitely a stout. There's definitely that stout, pungent kind of flavor, but it's also sweet. It's not really sweet in a fruity way, though. I'm trying to think of a way to describe the flavor for you guys. I can't really put my finger on it. Because it's not a fruity sweet. It's kind of like vanilla. A little bit. Yeah, I would say that the closest approximation is kind of like vanilla, but it's got kind of a hint of I don't want to say licorice because I hate licorice and I love this. Well, love is a strong word. I like this. It doesn't taste licoricey. Vanilla with a hint of something else. That's... Try this beer. It tastes like vanilla with a hint of something else. It is good, though. It is very good. Twitchy by Arche Brewery. And now I need a drink of tea. Because I'm thirsty. Too bad all the clubs are closed. I feel like I should be out dancing right now. Hello again. I think the stars are stacked against this video. I'm not even kidding. I'm gonna keep the intro where I tried the beer and everything for it, but I went back and rewatched it, and the sound was just horrid. And it was because of my hair rubbing. I use earbuds as mics right now. That's the best I can do right now. This is the best sound recording I can get. And my hair was just rubbing up against my earbuds the whole video, and it just sounded horrible. Sorry, I got kind of the sniffles going on. No cocaine, I promise. I would be thinner if that were the case. But I'm going to keep the intro where I tried the beer and everything, but I just decided that I'm going to re-record everything because I'm not going to put out a shitty quality video. And, this is... Jesus, this is my third time Live and learn, I guess, right? Okay, so let's get to this 10 lesser known habits of the narcissist. All right, well, I do want to preface this by saying that, like, just because somebody does one or two of these things doesn't mean they're a narcissist. If somebody does all 10, then you might want to watch out. There are, lots of people that do stuff, doesn't make them a narcissist. Yeah. I need to get a drink. My mouth's kind of dry. Before I start talking, I need some tea. Hopefully my cat will stay off the table, because her walking and rubbing against me definitely didn't help the sound situation in my other attempt at this video. So, 10 lesser known habits of the narcissist. Number 1 is that they tell tall tales. Like, they tell just crazy bullshit stories, like things that you wouldn't even think. I mean, like, you actually expect me to believe that. Like, you want to ask them, what, you actually think I'm going to believe that? I knew one narcissist who claimed that he had ties in with the British royalty. And those were the exact words he used. Oh, well, I have ties in with the British royalty. Well, what does that even mean? And he would talk about, oh, well, yeah, if I ever go to London, I'll be able to get into all these places and I'll basically have VIP access to everywhere because I'm part of the royal family. Dude, you're a redneck who lives in the rural United States. I mean, you're not part of the British royal family. And I mean, I know there are plenty of people here in the United States with, like, British descent and everything. Because, I took a DNA test. I have British in me. I'm sure I have relatives over there, but I'm not. Yeah, I mean, you're not part of the royal family. That's nuts. I also knew someone. Now I'm all paranoid about my hair rubbing up against the earbuds. I knew someone who claimed that he was dark. Like, he was dark-skinned, dark-haired, dark-eyed, ethnic-looking person. And he claimed that he was albino. And he said that he got in a car accident and he got blood transfusion from another ethnic person. And then his skin turned dark and his hair turned dark and his eyes turned dark. But, he claimed that he was albino. And, oh, yeah, I used to have white hair and, like, really pale skin and pink eyes until I got that blood transfusion. Well, science doesn't work that way, bud. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but if you're watching this video, and I mean, I'm assuming that's impossible. If you're watching this video and maybe you know a little bit more about that, then feel free to weigh in. But it just doesn't seem like it would make any logical sense. So yeah, telling tall tales. Part of it is because they want to feel special and important. A lot of the things on this list are going to go back to insecurity. You'll see that. You'll see a pattern here. They are insecure. They want to feel special and important. And part of it is also because they are just trying to see how gullible you are, and they're trying to see, like, what kind of bullshit they can tell you and you'll believe. Because, I mean, if you're gullible, they love that about you. Trust me. It's not a good thing, though. I mean, love to a narcissist is completely different than love to a normal person. You don't want the love of a narcissist. Number 2 is that they don't introduce their significant other. I have seen this so often. My recent ex and I, and he's going to come up probably a lot in this video because that relationship is still pretty fresh in my memory. I mean, it hasn't even been 6 months since I've been out of it, and we were together for a long time, years, and our businesses were pretty enmeshed in each other. So, I mean, I'm still healing from that. But he never introduced me, like, ever. When you run into, like, if you're on a date with a narcissist or whatever, and you run into somebody they know, they'll act like you're not even standing there. Like, you might as well be invisible. There was one time when I was with my recent ex. My nose is really stuffed up, guys. I'm sorry. There was one time when I was with my recent ex and we were out, and he was talking to his ex because he was always talking to one of his exes. one of the whole like gaggle. He didn't even know how many exes he had. Like he had lost count. He also didn't know how many sexual partners he had. It was probably 50 plus, I'm assuming. Yeah, we were out and he was talking to his ex and he was using voice chat so I could hear everything he was saying. And he tells her, "Oh yeah, I'm just hanging out with my friend Rhiannon." And it's like, excuse me, I'm your girlfriend. Like, why are you telling your ex that I'm your friend? And, of course then I'm you know, of course I'm the insecure one and, this is all about me, but yeah, that's completely inappropriate. And like I rarely got an introduction at all with him. Like he just didn't introduce me to people. And a big part of that, the motivation behind that is that they just want to look available. They want to keep that harem active. They don't want to look like they're attached to anybody. And they also, it's, lack of empathy. Like they just don't understand that it's impolite and that it's rude to not introduce people. They don't understand, and frankly, they don't care. Number 3 is that they have a real problem with punctuality. They don't care if they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, I'll be over at 3:00 or whatever." And then, it may be midnight before you see him, if you even see him at all. I'm not talking about somebody that's like 5 or 10 minutes late. That's, we all make mistakes. Everybody screws up. My recent ex, again, I'm going to use him as an example. I mean, we would make plans. He'd show up 4, 5, 6, 7 hours late, sometimes not even at all. And then if I would call him out on it, and it wasn't like, "You fucking asshole, you're late." It wasn't like that. It was, I would just say, "Hey, you're late," Then, of course, there'd be a huge fight. It was always, well, this is the way he would always frame it. It was always, "Well, I had stuff to do." And then it was, "Well, sorry if I have a life." Well, sorry if I had other things to do. I mean, I can't just drop everything and be at your beck and call. I mean, I can't just cater to you all the time. God, you're so selfish. Like, why can't you just let me live my life? And it would be all turned around on me. It's like, dude, you stood me up or you showed up 6 hours later more. He would turn it around and it would be all about me. This for them, it's a huge control mechanism. I mean, they like that, you're sitting at home wondering where they are. I mean, you're wondering where they are while they're out shopping, getting pizza, whatever, hanging out with their friends, and you're just kind of like twiddling your thumbs like, "Hey, I had plans with this person. Where are they?" That gives them supply. They like knowing that, you're just waiting, wondering where they are. I mean, it's a way of controlling you without really controlling you. Yeah, and it also comes down to lack of empathy. I mean, they just don't understand. They don't understand that that's just really disrespectful. And let me scroll down to number 4. Now, number 4, this one is really interesting, guys. This is something that I could make a whole video about all on its own. I've actually thought about like making narcissist story time videos because I have so many stories. Some of them are pretty entertaining. This is one that you see more with the more malignant types because I mean, there's debate about this theory. I personally subscribe to the theory that all psychopaths and sociopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths and sociopaths. That's the theory that I personally subscribe to. I mean, I know there's debate on that, but I'm going to pause this and see how my sound is because now I'm just really paranoid. I'm just going to pause this and test my sound real quick, guys. Okay, I just went back and listened to what I had recorded so far. My sound actually sounds a hell of a lot better, so I'm going to keep going. Sorry for the little interruption there. But anyway, number 4 is that they believe they have supernatural powers. I'm not kidding. I mean, if you're watching this video, then you probably at least suspect that you're dealing with a narcissist. You most likely are. Chances are you haven't dealt with this. Unfortunately, I have multiple times. I've seen a few of the narcissists I've known in my life, or at least people that I believe to be narcissists. Because when I say narcissist, it's important to remember when I say, oh yeah, this person who was a narcissist, I mean, I'm only going on speculation. I'm not a psychologist. I can't diagnose people. People I believe to be narcissistic. But I've actually witnessed this multiple times where, I've run into narcissists who believe that they have supernatural powers. I knew one, and this is one, like, I should make a whole video just telling this story because it's actually a pretty entertaining story from my perspective. But I knew one who claimed that he could raise people from the dead. And he was going to raise his cousin from the dead, and he actually believed that he was psychic and predicted her death. He was convinced that I was going to die. And he was so convinced of this that he actually left work early. And, his boss, he told his boss, oh, well, Rhiannon's going to die. And I'm just really worried about her, so I have to leave work. All right, so he left work early because he thought I was going to die. And then, some time passed, I didn't die, and then he was convinced that his grandma was going to die, and I'm pretty sure he left work early because of that, too. He was upset, he was convinced that his grandma was going to pass away, and then some time passed, and his grandma didn't pass away, and then, like, a year and a half goes by, and his cousin dies. And he's telling everybody, see, I told you, I predicted it. I knew my cousin was going to die. I told you guys all. Remember that time that I predicted that somebody was going to die? Well, okay, that was like a year and a half ago, dude. And I mean, it was just like shooting an arrow in the wall and then painting a target around it. Yeah. So he's telling everybody that he predicted the death of his cousin, which, that just gave him more leverage because now it's, oh, well, see, I told you guys I was psychic. See, I told you. That gave him more leverage, but now he's also claiming that he's going to bring his dead cousin back from the dead. And I asked him, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to get a certain flower and do some things to it. And he's like, oh, and my powers will be tested. Oh, this will be the greatest test of my powers yet. So he's talking about how his powers are going to be tested. And I asked him what flower it was because I was curious, and he said it was a black rose. And then when this ritual that he was going to do didn't work, well, then he blamed it on not being able to find a black rose. That was like the whole reason that he wasn't able to bring his cousin back from the dead. Yeah, but so yeah, he blamed not being able to find a black rose on not being able to bring his cousin back from the dead. Like, he just didn't seem to even get that people can't be brought back from the dead. Like, that just was beyond him. I knew, well, this was actually my recent ex. My recent ex claimed that he had the spirit of a Kitsune living inside of him. And, I mean, he would just go on and on and on about his Kitsune that lived inside of him. And, I'm not an expert on, like, Japanese folklore and Japanese mythology, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but Kitsune are these, like, beautiful, multi-tailed fox creatures who are, like, masters of deception. They're, like, tricksters, and they're, like, masters at deceit and tricking people, and, I mean, I guess that was fitting for him. I'm gonna pause this and blow my nose. Sorry. Yeah, my recent ex who claimed that he had the spirit of a Kitsune living inside of him, and he would also use that as a way to, like, justify his bad behavior. I'm sorry that I did that annoying thing that pissed you off. I'm a Kitsune. Like, I can't help it. I'm a Kitsune. And, Kitsune are mischievous, and, they lie and they deceit, and, oh, I'm a Kitsune. I can't help it. Dude. You're not a Kitsune. You're a freaking human being. Like, grow up. Seriously. That'd be like me going around saying, I'm a fairy. I'm a fairy. Or that I'm a unicorn. Or, pretty funny idea, but I'm not going to go around doing that. Because I know better. Sorry. Now I just have this image in my head of me walking into work and being like, look at me, I'm a fairy. Sorry. And furthermore, even more than that, well, even like another facet of that whole thing, he made it like really known that he's got this Kitsune spirit animal, and he was just like really adamant about letting me know that all of his female friends, basically his whole harem, they all know what the Kitsune that lives inside of him looks like, but I don't know, and that I'll never know. I mean, it was kind of his way of putting me in my place, like, oh yeah, they all know what my beautiful Kitsune spirit looks like, but I'll never tell you. So yeah, that doesn't really have anything to do with number 4 on the list, but it was just a little interesting facet of that whole thing. Yeah, I've met a lot of narcissists who actually believe that they have like special powers. I mean, I knew one who claimed to be above God. Like, he would actually say that, like, we're just going to say that his name was Johnny Smith, not his real name, but he would say things like, well, I'm Johnny Smith, I'm above God. Well, it has to be my way because I'm Johnny Smith and I'm above God. Like, and he claimed to be like a Christian. I mean, when you're a Christian, that is like so blasphemous. But anyway, on to number 5. They have to be the center of attention all the time. And this one might seem obvious, but it's not always as easy to recognize. My mom has 2 black labs, 2 beautiful black labs, one named Buddy and one named Roxanne. They're mother and daughter. And, when you go over to their house, when you go over to my mom's house, like, they both love on you and, they both want you to pet them and everything. But, like, if you try to give Roxanne any kind of affection at all, Buddy will get, like, right up on you and be like, oh, pet me, look, I'm here too, pet me, That's really cute when a dog does it. When a human being does it, it's actually pretty pathetic. And narcissists are really good at that. If the attention shifts from them to anybody else, like, they'll do whatever they can to bring it back around to them, even if it's negative. I knew one who would throw like massive screaming, crying fits. And this is a 20-something-year-old woman. If the conversation, if it had been too long before anybody paid attention to her, she would just start screaming and crying, over little things. And, oh, I'm such a victim. Oh, everybody treats me so bad. And, cry, 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 moan, 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 yell, yell, yell. I mean, one of the reasons I stopped hanging out with her was just because I just got so tired of that. Number 6 is that they have to one-up everyone. It doesn't matter what you've done, what you've accomplished, like where you've been, they've got one better. Even if it's a bad thing. You could say, oh yeah, my son broke his leg. Well, something worse happened to their kid. I took an IQ test when I was in college, and I don't really place a whole lot of value on IQ score. Like, I don't even know what my IQ is. I don't remember what my results were for the test. But we're just going to say, for the sake of telling this story, that my IQ was 120. Completely made up number. I don't know. I don't remember what my IQ actually was, but we're just going to say that it was 120 for this story. So I'm telling this guy that I knew who I believe was a narcissist. It was actually the same person who thought that he could bring his dead cousin back from the dead. That relationship was interesting. He was in my life for way too long. But, so I was talking to him and I was telling him, yeah, I got the results back from my IQ test. My IQ is 120. And he just got the snootiest look on his face and, just this smug smile and just nose in the air. And he's like, yeah, well, mine is 180. There's no way this dude had 180 IQ. He was just pulling that out of his ass. I just gotta make sure that mine's way better than yours, is basically what it comes down to. I mean, it doesn't matter what you have, what you've done, they've gotta do you one better. They've gotta raise the bar a little bit. Yeah, and like, that's a whole video on its own. Like, I have so many examples of just narcissists playing the one-up game with people. Okay, number 7 is that they are constantly texting and on social media, and they can't just chill with their thoughts. My recent ex was really bad about this. I mean, he was just constantly on his phone. I mean, we'd go out to dinner, and this is what I would see most of the time. You know, just he could not just set the phone down and hit the off switch. You know, it was always other females. Sometimes it was girls he knew. A lot of times it was just some Instagram model that he thought he had a real bond with because he liked a couple of her pictures and she commented, or because he commented on a couple of her pictures and she liked his comment. You know, he would think that they have this really tight bond, you know. And a big part of this is that, I mean, big part of the last few on the list is a matter of insecurity. Actually, I realized, like, for number 4, I didn't really give a motivation. It's like the whole thing with the supernatural powers is that they want to feel special and important. They want to feel like they're the chosen ones somehow. Number 5 and number 6, the need to be the center of attention and the need to one up everybody also comes down to insecurity. I mean, they just have to be like, it's all about them. If they're not the best, then they're the worst. It's black and white thinking. So much of this list comes down to insecurity. But yeah, as far as number 7 with the texting and everything, like my recent ex, he was always texting and messaging and always talking to other girls. And it's because, you know, it kind of goes back to why they don't introduce you, because they want to always look available. I mean, they've always got to keep that harem active. And also, they can't be left alone with their thoughts. They hate themselves. They can't be left alone with their thoughts. They've got to have somebody constantly adoring them and giving them supply. My recent ex had one of those things that you mount your phone on, like on the dashboard. Him and I would be driving down the road, and I would just see all these texts coming through. And I mean, it's not like I was ever trying to look, but, you know, if it's like, especially if it's dark out and his phone just suddenly lights up, it's kind of hard not to notice. And like texts would come through and they'd be like, I couldn't see well enough to read the text because I'm legally blind, but I could see well enough to see like heart emojis and, you know, heart eyes with a smiley face and, you know, love and flowers and, you know, the thing that you do where all the hearts come floating up. I mean, I used to see that kind of stuff all the time come up on his phone. And I mean, it always bothered me, but I could never really say anything because if I did, then it was just going to be a massive fight. But yeah, the excessive virtual socializing and being in constant contact with other people, members of their harem, I mean, that's a big thing that a lot of people don't even, I mean, yeah, it's something that people kind of, it's not something that you hear about on a lot of lists having to do with narcissism. So I say that it's a lesser known habit for that reason. Oh my God, I am so sorry. The stars are stacked against this video, I swear. First time the sound was bad, and now I'm trying to re-record it, and I'm just having a massive allergy attack. But I'm trying to do the best I can. I'm pulling through for you guys. Okay. Number 8, this is one that I could make a whole video about on its own. Like, music is something that's really important in my life. Maybe that's why this topic is so interesting to me, but pretty much everyone I've ever met who I think is high up on the narcissism scale, they are weird about music. And this can manifest itself in a lot of ways. I've seen fully grown men flip out and punch the steering wheel and scream and cuss and like point their finger at the radio and scream and cuss because a song they didn't like was playing on the radio. It's like, okay, it never occurred to you to just change the station or turn it off. I've seen that happen. I've also seen my recent ex would play music that he knows I don't like specifically in the car. he would play stuff over and over and over again in the car that he knows I don't like because I can't go anywhere. We're in the car, and he would just do it to upset me and piss me off. You know, it's like, oh, well, I know this will annoy you if I play this one song that you hate over and over and over again, so I'm going to do that just for fun, basically. I knew a narc who was a musician who, I mean, nobody else could have an opinion about music around him because he's a musician. One thing that is interesting and telling, I'm like a huge Tool fan, and I'm an even huger Pink Floyd fan. I mean, probably my two favorite bands ever. I have not met a single person who I believe to be a narcissist who likes either one of those bands. I decided already, you know, if I ever date anyone again, that's going to be one of the first questions I ask. I'm not saying you have to like them both to date me, but if you're going to date me, if you hate either one of them, I'm going to like proceed with extreme caution. Yeah, because everybody I've ever met who is high on the narcissism scale, in my opinion, they hate both of those bands. They seem to hate any music that is like intellectual and makes them think about life. I knew one narcissist who was really into Blood on the Dance Floor at like 35. And, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Blood on the Dance Floor, but it is kind of weird to see a 35-year-old man just bebopping along in his car and singing along to Blood on the Dance Floor. I mean, Blood on the Dance Floor is usually listened to by like tweens. And, you know, here's some 35-year-old dude just acting like it's the greatest music ever. Yeah, they have an odd relationship with music. Number 9, and this is something else that is more associated with the malignant types, is that they mirror. They will copy whoever they are idealizing. They'll, you know, like if the person they're idealizing likes a certain band, suddenly they like that band. You know, if the person they're idealizing is like really into cooking or whatever, suddenly they're really into cooking. I've witnessed this lots of times, and I've actually seen it get them busted, which is pretty entertaining. I've actually seen this happen where, you know, a narcissist is cheating, and they're idealizing the person they're cheating with, and their newfound interest in random stuff is what gives them away. My dad suddenly out of nowhere when I was a kid, I remember there was this one time when he was all of a sudden really into football and he really liked Joe Montana. I don't remember what team Joe Montana played for, but all of a sudden my dad was just really into that team and really into Joe Montana. And we all thought this was just so weird because he didn't, like before that he wasn't into sports at all. And now suddenly he really likes Joe Montana and he's really into football games. And well, it was because he was messing around with somebody that was into that. My ex-boyfriend, this is the same one who thought that he could bring his cousin back. All of a sudden, like he hated country music. All of a sudden he likes country music and he's really into country music and he's wanting to buy all these country music CDs and stuff. Well, it was because he was in a relationship with somebody else on the side who was into country music. So yeah, this mirroring that they do, I mean, that's a pretty intricate topic on its own. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that people mirror. Maybe I'll do a video just about that one day. But I've actually seen it get people busted a couple times, and it's pretty entertaining when that happens. Okay, so number 10, and this is another one that could have its own video. This is one that I could talk a lot about, is that they have a really odd relationship with language. Trying to get my window back up here. They have a really odd relationship with language in the sense that this shows itself in a lot of ways. I have a lot of examples of this, but for one, they seem to have a weird grasp, and like in my case, I'm a native English speaker, so like I've known a lot of other narcissists, people on the narcissism spectrum, or anyway, who are also native English speakers who just kind of make up the language as they go along. Like they mispronounce words on purpose. I mean, I knew somebody who said l'apartment as opposed to apartment. She would be like, oh yeah, you know, I went over to my friend's l'apartment. It's like, that's not the way it's pronounced, but she didn't care. They are also hyper vigilant about the way other people speak. My recent ex just completely went off on somebody because they said fam, F-A-M. I mean, it was a friend of ours. She came out and got in the car and she was like, hey fam, what's up? He turns around, don't you ever say that again. You better not ever speak like that again in my presence. Blah, 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 blah. Uh, one time I said awesome sauce in front of him. Like, that's something I almost never say. Like, I've said that probably like maybe 5 times in my whole life, but I said it because I thought I was being funny because we were talking about making spaghetti sauce. And so I just said awesome sauce because I'm thinking I'm being funny and clever, and don't you ever say that again. You better not ever, ever say that in front of me again. Blah, 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 blah. And, just raging at me because I said awesome sauce. So I've seen that. And then I knew one who like had a real problem with sentences that start with well, saying stuff like, oh, well, it's raining out. I mean, he just, I'd say, well, I gotta go to the store, or, well, no, that's another example, but, he had a real problem with well, and he had a real problem with gotta. I'd say, oh, I gotta go to the store later, and no, you don't gotta go to the store later, you need to go to the store later. He just had a real problem with those 2 phrases for some reason. Sentences that start with well and gotta. And another way this manifests itself is that they take everything super literally. Trying to think of a good example, but there can be no sarcasm, there can be no rhetoric. I mean, everything is taken like super, super literally. I remember I was on the phone with one once and a car started pulling in my driveway. I just happened to be looking out the window and a car started pulling in my driveway, and I'm on the phone with this person and I'm like, oh, who's this pulling in my driveway? And he's like, well, I don't know. How would I know? I'm not there. Like, he got really mad. Yeah, you can't like ask rhetorical questions. You can't like be sarcastic. You can't use figures of speech. Another example I remember is I was having Chinese food with somebody I knew who I think was a narcissist, and I said, hey, can I steal one of your pot stickers? And he just like flipped out because I used the word steal. No, you don't steal from me. I don't know why you think it's okay to steal from me. Blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, I just said that as his figure of speech, dude. If I was really gonna steal it, I wouldn't be asking first. Like, you don't ask somebody before you take something. If you're gonna, like, legitimately steal it. But yeah, he just couldn't understand that I meant that as a figure of speech. Like, I tried to explain it and explain it and explain it. He just did not get it. But yeah, weird relationship with the English language, or whatever language they speak. And so that is the end. That is 10 lesser known habits of the narcissist. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have seen any of this on your own, tell me your story in the comments. I don't have that many subscribers yet, so I'll probably respond to you. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm pretty much on all of those under Absinthaul or Absinthaul Art. If you have an idea for a video or whatever, tag me, like message me on Instagram, tag me on Twitter, whatever. Yeah, let me know. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, hit like, subscribe, that all helps me out. So in all the attempts to record this video, I hope this one is passable. I hope it's above passable. I hope it's decent quality, despite my allergies. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this, and I hope it was informative and entertaining. I hope you all have a good what's left of your weekend, and bye-bye.